Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Permission Granted podcast. And today's episode is really a juicy, interesting one. We are talking about lifestyle and overall wellness, but what it really means to us versus everything, like everyone's everything and their perspective of what it comes to wellness, especially for women. And especially for women of a particular age, because once we hit like that 35 and over mark, our bodies tend to not want to snap back like they did once before in our younger years. Every 7 years for us women, our cellular levels change. We either have allergies, we adjust to certain foods, certain things that we thought were great for us back then. Our bodies are like, nope, you can't have that anymore. And that happened to me years ago with dairy. And it also happened with like certain meats. And it's a great, interesting topic that we were talking about before the scenes about how we feel like we have to keep up with what's current when it comes to lifestyle and wellness. So what's your take on that, ladies? I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
I love that we're talking about this because, I mean, even just looking around, any flyer that comes to your door in the newspaper or what's popular on sale now, right? Health products, exercise equipment, new year, new you, and all that stuff. And so there's that added on to not just the literature out there about like, you should eat this, you shouldn't eat this, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. And so what are we listening to? Like, what does our voice, our own voice, fit into that? So yeah, this is going to be definitely a juicy one.
Yeah, definitely. I actually kind of cringe when people bring this up because health and wellness is about so much more than just weight, but that seems to be what everybody just automatically jumps on, right? What are you eating? What are are you drinking enough water? And like, are you exercising? That's like health and wellness, right? But it's so much more than that. It's like, are you living joyfully? Are you like feeling fulfilled in your life? Like, to me, health and wellness is about that. Because just fun fact about me, I am that child. Like, when I was a kid, I was the child that nobody ever wants because you can't feed me. I'm picky. So when people are like, oh, you should try such and such diet, I'm like, I literally just stop listening, because there is no diet on the face of the earth, out of all the millions of them that there is not a single one of them where I would be able to actually eat and sustain my life on it, based on what I actually, desire to eat. So I am one of the weird creatures who doesn't use a scale. I don't monitor my food. I try my best to eat healthy. But for me, health and wellness encompasses like removing chemicals from my life. I actually just posted about this today on my personal Facebook, because I make my own deodorant and I use that, like I'm eliminating chemicals in every way that I possibly can, trying to go more natural. There's so many other layers of health and wellness. And I think it's a disservice that the industry of health and wellness always directs us to food. It's such an obsession almost. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
I love that you said that, because I was actually contemplating this week, and I don't know why we feel, and as much as I know that I try not to, we try and compare and see what we need to do because that person's doing that. So this weekend I was like, maybe I should go get my nails done. I hadn't had my nails done in a while, but I had stopped getting my nails done because of the chemicals, and why I thought like getting them done now would be any different from when I stopped doing them years ago. So it was amazing that you brought that up, because that does have to do with a component with our wellness. It's not so much like what we intake as far as food and what that number is on that scale, but what do we do with everything else in our lifestyles that contribute to our overall wellness? And that was a good point, because I'm at that point too, where I'm starting to take out all things that are like toxicity in my life, whether it comes to my food, my shampoos, and certain things that we take for granted every day that are contributing to us feeling that constant dis-ease in our lives of what we're putting into our bodies. So I'm glad you brought that up. What's your take on that, Kasha?
I agree. And for me, like, I can't even honestly walk down the aisle at the grocery store with all the cleaners because I can't stand the smell.
Me neither.
Like, anything I buy, laundry detergent or body wash or whatever, has to be unscented. And without a list of ingredients this long. So yes, I'm definitely switching my whole family over to natural things. And it's amazing how many cleaners, like even cleaners that like really, really deeply clean our homes, are like vinegar and water, right? You can use such simple stuff, but we're so used to the bubbles. And that, like, personally, that was a big sort of change for me. Is I like the bubbles, because I don't know, to me bubbles equals clean. And so if something's not bubbling, does that mean it's cleaning my shower? Well, yeah, actually, it definitely can be. So I often follow my nose if something smells too strong or Febreze. I am just not a fan. I apologize to all the people who love it. I can't. Like, what are you breathing? How do your lungs feel at the end of the day after you've been smelling this stuff? Even a lot of perfumes have noxious things in them. And so I've definitely switched over to things like, a couple essential oils that I like, and just, or just not wearing any sort of smell. So definitely wellness includes, just our home, our bodies, the way our family is, and I mean, exercise too, right? That's a whole other topic.
I think it's really important to recognize that whether we're talking about, removing chemicals, or we're talking about diets, or we're talking about exercise plans, every single person, situation, family is different than the next. So when you're seeing these things coming at you from all sides, you really have to be able to check in with yourself. Like, what is my body feeling? What does it want right now? Sometimes when we feel like we're hungry, it's actually water our body desires. So getting really in tune with ourselves and checking in, like, do I want to go for a walk, in the sunshine? And is it because I need to move my body, or is it because I actually need some vitamin D? Maybe it's both, right? But if we can connect better with, doing things based on decisions like that, I think that we're really getting to the heart of what health and wellness really is.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Bringing in also the seasons themselves. Yeah. I don't love, for example, to eat cold vegetables and drink a lot of cold drinks in the winter because it's cold, and I like to have a comfortable body temperature. So I eat a lot more cooked things, or like, I love soup. I'm one of those soup nut people that just love soup, and I could eat it every day. And so checking in, just because, the health industry says you should eat salad all the time and every day, is that true for you? So check in with yourself. Perhaps in the summer when it's warmer or hotter where you live, and you feel like eating lighter, then do it. Maybe less meat in the summer because you feel like you just want light stuff. But in the winter, I think it's okay to change the way you eat and the way you move your body. It's easier in the summer to head out for a walk because it's, like the sun doesn't go down. Right. But in winter, I don't want to go for a walk in the dark.
No. And I think we've said this in the past in other conversations that we've had. We are so in a society of overwhelm, of too much information. Yeah. We are taking in so many things at the same time. It's just like white noise constantly on what our lives should look like, who we should follow. Like you said, the next best thing when it comes to like food and nutrition. And we're forgetting to connect with ourselves. No one knows ourselves better than our own bodies. And if we learn to just tap into what our body feels like doing or eating or moving that particular day, it can make such a huge difference in how you actually perceive wellness and nutrition, how you actually fulfill yourself in your overall lifestyle. And that includes also healthy relationships as well. Like, are we really taking into account that toxic things are just not things? They could be toxic relationships that make us feel a certain way, that when we feel that particular way, nothing else is going to make us feel or good or great for that particular day because we're feeling a certain way. So learning to tap into how we feel about food and how we feel like moving for the day. And like Shelly said, are you really hungry, or are you thirsty, or are you bored? Because a lot of the times pure boredom causes you to go into the pantry and think that you need to have like a junk food fast. Right, ladies?
Definitely. Yeah. 100%.
I do think, though, just to sort of come back to the information, it's not all crap. Like there is a lot of really good science and things out there, and it's out there for us to consider. You know, by combining both sort of my own voice, my own knowing my body, and I'm sure you ladies have found this too, along with some really good information allows me to know myself better. I know now when I eat something that my body doesn't like, even if my brain wants it, but my body doesn't like it, I have a headache. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, consider that next time, right? Don't just like reach in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
No, oatmeal cookies give you a headache. So stop. Honor that. So don't.
And the same thing with information too. Like we should learn to use whatever works for us and get rid of what doesn't.
Yeah.
And learn to test drive certain things and be able to adapt to things that work for us, and then let go of others that don't, and don't feel like we have to do the entire thing versus just taking what actually serves us better.
Yeah, exactly. And also knowing that that shifts and changes as you grow and age and change as well, right? It's not just seasonal. It's like you said, that 7-year shift. A diet that was really working for you might not work for you forever, right? So, you know, explore that, figure out what's going on with your body, and always be checking in. Like, did that feel good when I ate that? Is my stomach responding in a different way than it used to? Like, don't get stuck in a habit of it, because we shift and change too. So something that worked for you may not work for you down the line, and something that didn't work might work later, right? So always just, exploring and being open to what the next thing is for you.
Yeah.
I love that. I know for me, I mean, the last couple of years, hormonally, my body is changing. So I'm getting at that point in that peak of my life where my hormones are not responding like they once were. And I was just saying before that I'm learning to give myself that grace and ease of letting my body just adjust to where it needs to be, being passionate and loving towards it as it's going through its changes, because it's bringing me to a better evolution of myself, instead of feeling like I have to punish myself because I'm not dropping weight like I used to drop weight back in the day. Like that, I'm the same person, but I don't have the same qualifications as that 20-year-old self that I am right now, because my body has matured. It's gone through the things that it's gone through in my lifetime. So learning to have like that grace and loving mercy on yourself kind of helps as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And sometimes trying to stick so religiously to something actually causes a lot more stress, which releases the stress hormones, which causes its own, cycle of crap in the body, then changing. So again, it all comes back down to know yourself.
That's awesome. So are we ready to hand out permission slips, ladies?
Yes. Okay, I'll start. Permission granted to just let this be about loving yourself. Let your health and wellness journey be about loving yourself enough to ask yourself what you want, and just, getting to know yourself better in that way, and providing those things in a loving, compassionate way, whatever it is for you that's right.
And permission granted to be open and discerning, because there is a lot of information out there, and some of it is great and some of it is not so great. And so asking really good questions and checking sources, and checking in with yourself. Does this fit for me? And how do I feel when I follow this advice or I don't follow this advice?
That's awesome. Permission granted to explore. Allow yourself to have the process where you're exploring what's best for you at that particular stage of your life. Like we said, what happened back then and worked for you back then may not work for you now. And give yourself that ease and that grace and that loving perspective of knowing that as you're exploring, you're adapting to a new way that your body's actually taking good care of you at this process of your life.
Yeah.
Awesome, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Please make sure to click the subscribe button and tell a friend. And the link downstairs under here, the video for our manifesto that gives really strong, powerful statements of how we got this podcast together. We are working on actually adding new powerful statements as we're evolving with the podcast and as we're evolving with our lifestyles. We're finding that there are new power statements that we want to add. But in the meantime, click the link below, share this with a friend, and we'll see you on the next episode of Permission Granted Podcast. Take care, guys.